Good evening. Tonight is Monday night. It's November the 6th. This is our work session and public hearing on the boundaries for the Royal Oaks Elementary School, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. Our first order of business is a moment of silence. We lost a dear friend and teacher, Ms. Patty Norris, and she passed away just recently, and so I'd like you all to just join me for a moment of silence for the Norris family. Let's bow our heads. Thank you. Amen. Ms. Norris taught over at Central Cabarrus, was a band teacher, and did a lot for that whole community, and I know that she's going to be missed by everyone. Next order of business, before we get started with setting the agenda, today we had a friend and a board member who submitted his resignation. Mr. Tim Furr resigned today because of some health issues that he experienced this weekend, and he had to get some things off of his plate, and he didn't want to do this, but this was something that was necessary for him. So I would ask that as you go home tonight and you go to your prayers, include the Furr family. He's doing well, though, so there's no emergency. He was talking well and smiling. You know, at least what I heard him on the phone, it sounded like he was smiling. But he's doing well. But just be in prayer for the Furr family as they adjust to their new life. So, finally, we only have 5 board members tonight. Mr. Powell could not make it. Now, board members, I'd like to get a motion to adopt the agenda. And one of the things is, before we adopt the agenda, is we will be taking hard breaks at 7:30 and 9, just to make sure that the board members get a chance to stand up and just move around for about 5 minutes and you can come back down so we can be attentive. I don't want the board members to kind of get overcome with sitting here and just absorbing. So this will give us a little bit of time. So at 7:30 and at 9, we will take a 5-minute break, and then we will reconvene right away afterwards and continue wherever we are in the meeting.
Are we going to, Mr.
Yes, ma'am.
Chairman, are we going to add discussion on how we're going to make this appointment tonight, or, a discussion on that to the agenda tonight, or are we going to wait for that?
Well, are you making a recommendation? We probably need to have a conversation with our legal counsel just to see what he recommends a process for us to follow. Do you want to add that to our agenda tonight? Well, depending Yes.
on what time we.
Yeah.
I would suggest that we make an exception and, if necessary, discuss it in 2 weeks at our business meeting, just because this is a long agenda already tonight.
Okay.
Okay, if you wanted to do that, that's fine. I didn't know if we were going to do, okay, that's fine.
All right.
Move to adopt the agenda as written.
All right. So I have a motion.
Second.
Find that. All right. So Mr. Harrison makes the motion.
Second.
Mr. Walters actually seconded. Thank you. All right. Any more discussion on the agenda? None. Let's go with a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. And that vote carries 5-0. We now have an agenda. I need a motion to open the public hearing for input on the Royal Oaks boundaries. Mr. Harrison makes the motion,
I'll second.
and Ms. Furtenbaugh seconds that motion. This is a public hearing on the Royal Oaks boundaries, and the hearing was advertised in the Charlotte Observer and the Independent Tribune on Sunday, October 29th, and on Sunday, November the 5th. The hearing notice was also posted on the CCS website and posted at the Education Center. Our focus tonight is only the Royal Oaks boundaries, and that's it. So no, if you have something else that you had thought you might want to speak about, that will not be permitted. And I'll have to turn you away from the mic if you come up talking about a different subject other than that one tonight. All right. Board members, we have our motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, that motion carries, and now we are ready to begin our speakers. And our very first speaker tonight is Jason Brown. Mr. Brown, if you'd come forward. There he is. I have to look to the right spot.
Good evening. I would like to start by thanking you for this opportunity to speak to you concerning the proposed realignment plan, specifically referring to Scenario A. First, from a personal standpoint, my 4 school-aged children, which range from a splash program kindergartner to 4th grade, are students at Weinkauf Elementary, where they look forward to being STEM students next school year. Under the proposed Scenario A plan, my children, along with at least 15 to 20 others in our neighborhood, will have to relocate to Royal Oaks Elementary. As you are well aware, there have been and still is a great deal of road construction on Kannapolis Highway. Due to this, children in this area would have to travel by bus past Weinkauf, all the way to Carolina Mall, then travel back to Kannapolis to attend Royal Oaks, then do the same thing every afternoon. I think I speak for everyone that lives in Area 2 when I say that this simply makes no sense. Now, from a more unbiased viewpoint. I understand that the reason for this is an attempt to keep Beverly Hills Elementary open. With all due respect, Beverly Hills Elementary is over 60 years old. My understanding is in order to remodel this school to get it to current standards, it would cost over $10 million and would have to be closed for 2 full years to complete. We all must realize that this simply isn't feasible. These details have been well known for quite some time. Because of these facts, closing Beverly Hills is already a part of the district's 10-year plan. To quickly review my point, if Scenario A were accepted and Beverly Hills was kept open for now, it would still face imminent closure, likely within the next couple of years, which would then force you to re-examine these lines again. In the meantime, the district and the taxpayers would still be stuck holding the tab for periodic repairs of an outdated facility. Everyone please understand this. Scenario A does not save Beverly Hills Elementary School. It simply applies a temporary Band-Aid that will soon have to be ripped off. Ladies and gentlemen, I've spent a great deal of time reviewing the various options available, and I understand the various points of view of these folks here tonight. After all of this, I'm asking you, please do not waste any more taxpayer money on a school that is not up to par and that is costing you a small fortune to keep open, when there is a brand new facility that is standing ready to take these students forward in their education. I'm asking you to please vote against Scenario A. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Just a minute. Yeah, go ahead, but don't start right yet. I wanted to let you know that Ms. Renee Mull is taking notes and trying to capture what she can. All of this is on video, so if she misses some points that you make, it's not like it's lost. And she's going to do the best she can to try to keep up. But so the next person is Jace Thomas.
Yes,
and
sir.
Mr. Thomas, you can speak now.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity. Regarding redistricting, I am asking you to decide on Scenario A. Dr. Louder has indicated that Beverly Hills is not in any long-term plan for Cabarrus County Schools, and I understand that. So by going with Scenario A, it would just delay the closing of Beverly Hills just for a few years. I think it would be a wise decision to delay closing Beverly Hills for a few years for these 4 reasons. Royal Oaks will be the only arts magnet in the county, and with it being a brand new school, we don't really know what the interest level in that magnet program will be. It may be more significant than expected, and I think it'll require a few years to see what the actual interest level of that will be. The second reason I think it would be wise to delay the closing of Beverly Hills is the administration has indicated that we expect to see significant growth in the Boger area over the next few years. It will take a few years to realize that growth. You may find out that you need more room at Boger, Weinkauf, and Royal Oaks as a result of that. The third reason is I-85, 29, and Lake Concord Road are all undergoing construction like we haven't seen in decades. All of that construction lies in between the Beverly Hills community and the Royal Oaks School. If Beverly Hills closes next year, you'll be asking that whole community to navigate the construction zones, buses and families, twice a day with its traffic hazards and potential increase for accidents. The safety of the students should not be put at risk. If you wait 2 to 3 years, all of that construction should be over by then. Number 4, any scenario other than Scenario A will be a departure from the 10-year plan that you guys have already presented to the community. Changing the plan too hastily could bring about challenges down the road like we've just now discussed. If at the end of 2 years, a decision is then made to move the Beverly Hills community to Royal Oaks, then so be it. If that's the case, the sentiment you now see among the Beverly Hills community, I believe, would be drastically reduced by waiting 2 to 3 years before making the decision regarding the school. It would be more widely accepted that the best decision was made and that we will have time to see what will actually happen with these schools. Lastly, as a Cabarrus County taxpayer, anything short of bulldozing Beverly Hills and selling the property, the taxpayer would still be responsible to maintain that old building, whatever its use. I would imagine the tax savings would be minimal. Waiting 2 to 3 years to decide the fate of Beverly Hills schools would be a wise decision, and it leaves you options that you may not have if you close the school next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. We have Mr. Lee Schuman, and he will have 5 minutes because he is speaking for a neighborhood group. Aileen, oh, you did. Thank you. All right.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here tonight. There's going to be many folks from Beverly Hills neighborhood and parents of students that are going to talk to you tonight about a bunch of different issues. And I'm electing to really focus in on one particular avenue. I don't know there's been much discussion about, and it concerns the best use of taxpayer money. I know that's what everybody wants to talk about, it seems, when making these decisions. And that's constantly mentioned by the Board of Commissioners, by the Board of Education, by the staff, as a reason for building larger schools such as Royal Oaks. The real question that I have here tonight is whether this board and if the staff has fully done the work that's required by the North Carolina General Statutes when replacing a school. This goes for Royal Oaks as well as Beverly Hills. First, we have the Fanning-Howey report, which I understand is the only facilities assessment that's been done for Royal Oaks and for Beverly Hills Elementary School. This was done after the decision was made to replace Royal Oaks Elementary School. The assessment that's in the Fanning-Howey report shows Royal Oaks Elementary School with a condition assessment that's much lower on the index score than Beverly Hills. The index score actually for Royal Oaks is comparable to Weddington Hills Elementary and Rocky River. I don't understand that. Not sure if that is a mistake or if the report was done inaccurately, but if we're going to use that report, which also shows Beverly Hills to be replaced, then we've also got to take, I think, the information that they gave us about Royal Oaks and decide what we're going to do with it. That school's been built. I understand that what's done is done. But that doesn't mean that the process is ignored. The general statutes in the state of North Carolina state that you must clearly do a feasibility study that evaluates the cost of renovating a school against the cost of replacing that school. And I'm going to read that particular general statute now. It's General Statute 115C-521. If a Board of Education is considering building a new school building to replace an existing school building, the board shall not invest any construction money in the new building unless it submits to the state superintendent and the state superintendent submits to the North Carolina Historical Commission an analysis that compares the cost and feasibility of building the new building and of renovating the existing building, and that clearly indicates the desirability of building the new building. Now, unless that's been done, I think this is a simple decision. You have 4 scenarios in front of you, 3 of which close Beverly Hills, consolidate with Royal Oaks, and they don't, in my mind and in our opinion, meet the North Carolina General Statutes. The one option that does is scenario A, which keeps Beverly Hills operational. And lastly, I understand that the school's built. We almost are complete with a larger school that needs to be filled with seats. So there is another option. And that option could use Royal Oaks as a swing school. You could place the students from Beverly Hills in that school temporarily. You could do the assessment that you're required to do by the North Carolina General Statutes. If that assessment shows that you can renovate Beverly Hills Elementary School for what would be considered economically feasible, viable, you can do that. You can move those students back to Beverly Hills. You can then also use Royal Oaks as a swing school to handle the renovations of R. Brown McAllister and Coltrane Webb. Unless the work is being done that specifically shows renovating these schools is not economically feasible, there's no way someone on the board or on the staff can stand before all of us as citizens and taxpayers and tell us that $25 million new school is more economically feasible than renovating 2 schools. Those 2 schools would have had 700 seats if renovated at their current sizes, Royal Oaks and Beverly Hills. The new school's 750 seats. You close one of them, you net 50 seats. Could the 2 schools have been renovated for less than $25 million? Maybe it's $26 million. Is it worth $1 million to keep a Beverly Hills neighborhood viable? We finally had a renaissance in Beverly Hills. We finally have young people moving into our neighborhood. And they're moving in because they want to move into a neighborhood with kids who can walk to school. And that's the life they chose. And you guys are going to make a decision that can affect that. We hope that you choose scenario A. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Craig Depkin.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. I'm the father of a Boger student, a property owner in Zamos Acres, and a professor of economics. I rise in opposition to Scenario A. Scenario A would essentially create 2 small elementary schools in Cabarrus County. Scenario A would split Boger, which, while not as dramatic as splitting families across schools, will cause splits in friendships and will impact the student-teacher parent community we have at Boger. While there may be benefits to a small neighborhood school, several of which I'm confident you'll hear tonight, there are substantial costs to such a school. Economists distinguish between fixed costs and variable costs. At a school, the variable costs are mainly associated with the number of students that are realized in teachers and technology. However, fixed costs do not vary with the number of students. This would include maintenance of the school itself and the salaries and benefits for the principal and staff. But because there are fewer students in that school, expenditures per student is necessarily higher and not necessarily correlated with improvements in educational outcomes. The increase per student's expenditures take away from needs elsewhere in the county, and the small neighborhood school concentrates its benefits among a few and externalizes its costs to the rest of the county. Scenario A would also perhaps make it difficult to recruit and retain high-quality teachers, especially instructional support and encore teachers. This could reduce the educational value for several hundred elementary students in Cabarrus County. A final note from me, Cabarrus County is poised, obviously, for unprecedented growth in the coming years. Maintaining a small neighborhood school would introduce a disparity in school size, and that will be expensive to remedy in the future. Scenario A requires, or appears to require, 2 new elementary schools rather than 1, a choice that would cost the county approximately $25 million. In an era of increased competition for scarce resources, Scenario A would seem to be inappropriate. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Depkin. Our next person is Ms. Joanne Wilkinson, and she will be speaking for 5 minutes as a member of the Boger PTO board and staff. Thank you.
Good evening. As a parent of Charles E. Boger and also the PTO president, I am completely against option A. Charles E. Boger has always been welcoming to any school that has come to stay with us for a while, and we have done that with open arms. The opening of Charles E. Boger, the farm, and Royal Oaks, to name a few of the changes that we have had in our 10 years of existence. If you would choose to leave Beverly Hills open, that would create another small school. The 10-year plan says that you want to eliminate small schools, but you would be creating another. Charles E. Boger can hold more students than what we would be left with. Option A not only would affect students that would be leaving Charles E. Boger, but it would also affect the ones that would be staying. The students that would be staying would not have the relationship with their encore teachers like they do now. since Encore would be part-time versus full-time. We would also lose our musicals and art shows, which would build our community relationships. On top of Encore going to part-time, we would be losing 8 to 10 other teachers and resources, PTO fundraising, community events. Volunteers would also be affected, and also our funding for other things for the school. I understand teachers follow students, but they would not be Charles E. Boger teachers with Charles E. Boger students. They'd be separated and integrated in a different school. I vote against option A for these reasons, mostly because of the way it affects my daughter and the other students at Charles E. Boger, and I take pride in being the Boger PTO president this year, and I'd like to continue to help raise and bring that school to where it needs to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilkinson. Our next speaker is Kimberly Stewart, or Stewart.
Well, my maiden name was Kajimkuski, so Stewart's pretty easy. You're good to go on that. I'd like to thank the opportunity to speak tonight, and a very wise leader gave me some wonderful advice before I came out, and that was to speak from the heart. My husband and I are both military children, and we never had an opportunity to call one specific place home. And when we got married 20 years ago and it brought us to North Carolina, we chose 10 years ago to bring our hopes and our dreams to Cabarrus County. And our children have had the opportunity to call one specific place home and to grow and create friendships that I don't think we would have been able to do anywhere else. So much to the point where I am now teaching at Weinkauf. I watched my son start kindergarten there and watched an amazing connection, even though it's a large school, but to connect with parents, to connect with children, to connect with their teachers, with staff. I can tell you from the get-go that they knew who my child was, and they cared very much about that. I'm very concerned about the proposal for scenario A. It will divide our Northwest community. One of the joys of being part of that community is I go to the Food Lion, and now I promise not to wear my sweats because I don't know which one of my students I'm going to run into. But it has created such a sense of family. Now I have students in my room, my own 5th grade classroom, that are going to see their classmates, their siblings. One will go to Royal Oaks, and their friend across the street at Fisher Street will go to Weinkauf. Scenario A divides our community, and it's growing and healing. 10 years ago, when Boger was created, that split caused a huge rift, and we've healed from that, and we've grown from that. But Weinkauf has also faced other challenges. We've had changes in leadership, changes in staff. We are now building our dream school. And when you walk into our school hallways each day, you feel that sense of community, even at almost 900 students. I hate to see that division created, that community sense completely destroyed by this. Each morning we start a day with classroom circles, and we teach our children to speak from the heart. And sitting in my room is such a wide variety of students coming from such incredible backgrounds. And yet, when we speak, we all have a voice, and each voice is honored and listened to. And I hope tonight, as each person stands in front, that those voices are heard, but that the best choice for our entire community is the one that we choose. So I thank you for the opportunity to speak, and hope that we do not support scenario A. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. Ms. Debbie Watkins.
Good evening. My name is Debbie Watkins, and I'm a parent at Boger Elementary. I want to share with you 3 reasons I believe scenario A is not a viable option for the children who would remain at Boger Elementary. First, the Cabarrus County Schools strategic plan clearly consolidates and/or closes small schools like Beverly Hills over the next several years. Postponing the inevitable is not only a waste of our taxpayer dollars, but it is also fiscally irresponsible to your facility maintenance budget, as it leaves a large Boger facility operating with nearly half of its maximum capacity. Second, creating yet another small school will drastically impact our children's school experience. The loss of classmates and teachers and the reduction in exceptional children, AIG, and Encore teachers and services is an unnecessary disruption to Boger Elementary. I'm not only concerned with this reduction of staff and services, but also with the ability to both recruit and retain quality part-time and/or shared staff. And third, the Boger community has endured many changes over the last several years. We have been asked to open our school and our classrooms, first to children who would later return to Odell Elementary, and now to students from Royal Oaks, as their new school has been built. Our children have created friendships and relationships with classmates and teachers, only to have them leave Boger and return to their own school communities. Our children deserve a thank you for their years of hospitality, and they deserve the opportunity to begin rebuilding a true Boger Elementary community. In the end, this decision cannot and should not be based on emotion. A team of parents, teachers, staff, and administrators have worked diligently using the Trago method, which by design is meant to be systematically unbiased in its approach to decision making, and the data collected, above all emotion, clearly does not support scenario A. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Watkins. Ms. Katie Propst.
Good evening. My name is Katie Probst, and I'm here in favor of Scenario A on behalf of Beverly Hills. Before my children started elementary school, I visited Beverly Hills Elementary, and upon entering the school, I felt an immediate warmth and camaraderie and sense of community. I sat down with Dr. Steele. I was very drawn to her and to the school, and I left that day knowing that this is where my children needed to be. And factoring in proximity, there was no question that this is where we would go. Since my children started kindergarten last school year, I've volunteered at least 3 days a week at school, working with the children with groups. Sometimes I'm there twice a day. I can go home and come back. And the reason that I can do that is because it's so close to my home. I know all of the children in the first grade. I know their academic abilities, their behaviors, their personalities, and I know that they all benefit from me being there. And again, the reason that I can be there is because I'm so close. One of the arguments supporting the other scenarios was that all of the Beverly Hills children would stay and move together, and that's incorrect. My son's best friend is not in the Beverly Hills. He comes with the choice plan. He will not go to Royal Oaks. It will not be his home school. Some of the teachers won't go. They'll find another school, or there won't be a place for them. There's certainly not a place for our administrators. And as for the rest of us, we don't know what we're going to do because we were not given any warning or any time to prepare for this. And we don't want to go to school in another city. We want to go in our community. I've been hearing a lot about fiscal responsibility and capacity, filling up Royal Oaks. I know those things are of concern, but I would like for you to do what's in the best interest of our children, and I implore you, when you make your decision, to make your priority our children and our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Probst. Mr. Thomas Probst.
Good evening, board members. Thank you all for your service. That was my wife, Katie. We live at 701 Williamsburg Drive in Concord. We have 2 children that attend Beverly Hills Elementary. We purchased our home because we like the idea of sending our children to a small neighborhood school. We made a real estate decision and reinvested in our small neighborhood based on the school system's 10-year plan. This 10-year plan called for a swing school at R. Brown McAllister, a new school at Coltrane Webb. The new school would house the students of Beverly Hills and Coltrane Webb. This plan keeps our children in the community that we choose to live in. if we wanted to send our children to a school in Kannapolis, and we would have purchased a home in the city of Kannapolis. After reviewing the meeting minutes and reading older articles online, I know that some of you had concerns for building Royal Oaks on the current site. I personally voted for the bond referendum in 2014 to replace Royal Oaks for $11 million. However, I would not have voted for it had I known it was to replace Beverly Hills Elementary. The railroad tracks to the west of Royal Oaks have been there since the 1850s. This is not a new safety concern, and this automatically becomes a limiting factor for other schools in that area to redistrict Royal Oaks Elementary. Homeowners, taxpayers, and most importantly, the parents of the children that are impacted by this potential school closure needed to be aware of this well before October 2017. This seems like a great opportunity for the public school system to get ahead of the aging facilities in the downtown area of Concord. And as Lee Schumann had mentioned earlier, I'd like for you all to please consider making Royal Oaks your new swing school and evaluate the repurposing of the older neighborhood schools. I feel certain the community would get behind swinging Beverly Hills and or Coltrane Webb up to Royal Oaks for 1 year while you renovate our new or build a new school for Beverly Hills. The City of Concord owns land at the water treatment plant that is not currently being used. I don't think there are plans for future expansion of this plant. There's also land in the rear of Beverly Hills that could be purchased. Please tell the superintendents that all options at Beverly Hills site need to be explored with a feasibility study before closing a school that has been in our community since the 50s. Let the fine arts demand fill our seats, not our STEM students. Please don't take our STEM program away from us and split our student base. Please consider the economic implications and effects of closing a school down and shipping our students to another town. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Probst. We have Dr. Thomas Trahey.
Good evening, Cabarrus County Board of Education members and administrative leaders. I'm here tonight to express to you directly my concern and opposition to any plan for consolidation closure of Beverly Hills Elementary School. I also request that Beverly Hills Elementary School be remodeled as needed for long-term use as an elementary school to preserve this neighborhood jewel. I've owned 2 homes in Beverly Hills neighborhood since 1990, and I've lived at my current address since 1994. My wife and both of my daughters attended Beverly Hills Elementary School and had wonderful educations. All were Phi Beta Kappa in college, and my daughters attended Duke University and Davidson College, respectively, followed by Oxford and Cambridge University graduate schools. This success is a testament to the benefit of a small neighborhood school and the excellent teachers at Beverly Hills Elementary School, which established a firm foundation. I chose the Beverly Hills neighborhood to purchase a home over other locations in Cabarrus County due to the great neighborhood school in proximity to Cabarrus Memorial Hospital, which is now CMC Northeast, as did many of my colleagues. Beverly Hills Elementary School is a true neighborhood school with a diverse student body encompassing many socioeconomic and ethnic backgrounds. The teachers do a wonderful job in creating a fantastic learning environment which addresses the broad variety of student needs, including a great STEM program. Few other schools in Cabarrus County can make this claim. Beverly Hills Elementary School has successfully educated hundreds of current and future community leaders, many of which are in this room. To lose this neighborhood school would have a devastating effect not only on the students and families, but local business owners, property owners, and developers. Our neighborhood has young people with children moving into it. With the loss of a neighborhood school, families will be less likely to move here. Concord itself will suffer, and the impact on downtown development will also be significant. We need a strong Beverly Hills Elementary School to complement Concord Middle and Concord High School. We need a strong Beverly Hills Elementary School to give all the neighborhood kids a chance to succeed, like so many that have come before them. Beverly Hills Elementary School's success has never been about the building. It's the people that have made it great. The neighborhood support, the great teachers, the engaged parents, and wonderful students. Please don't take this school away from us. Larger elementary schools at a distance make no sense for small kids, regardless of what the school building looks like. I've gladly paid taxes in Cabarrus County since moving here in 1989, and I've supported all of the Cabarrus County system growth projects. However, closing Beverly Hills School will be a huge mistake, one that all of us regret for many years if it occurs. I implore you to save our school. We are Beverly Hills.
Thank you, Dr. Strahan. Ms. Bronica Calfont? Bronica?
Bruncha.
Broncha.
That's
Sorry, I'm sorry.
That's perfectly fine. It's very difficult. 1 month ago, we were blindsided by the news that you plan to move Beverly Hills STEM en masse to Royal Oaks. We placed our faith in you as we voted for your $11 million school bond, but we're completely unaware that this was only the tip of the financial iceberg, or that it would result in the loss of our beloved school. This, in spite of your April 2015 meeting stating that Royal Oaks was in a non-growth area. There was no public meeting, no public dissemination of information, and therefore there was no public outcry. No apparent effort was made to share this staggering information to those whose lives would be so adversely affected. No, we learned of this from a letter sent in our children's backpacks, which, may I say, is a very poor way for the Board of Education to provide information of this magnitude. The explosive growth in Cabarrus County predominantly stems from new families moving into our area. These new families do not yet have the affiliation, the attachment, or the affection that we possess for our neighborhood schools. We understand the current trend for mega schools, but that is not a reason to eliminate the smaller negative neighborhood schools that currently exist, especially as it appears that the trend is being reversed as children are safer and fare better in exactly the environment that Beverly Hills provides. Dr. Lauder has stated that Beverly Hills is, in his word, decrepit. Where is the financial responsibility to maintain older schools? Why wasn't the $11 million bond used to support older schools? This was suggested in your March 2015 meeting, but apparently was denied. Mr. Tim Lauder said that upon entering Beverly Hills driveway, all you see are roofs. We love our roofs. They provide a sense of secure protectiveness that is far less daunting to a small child than a massive two-story edifice. Beverly Hills is a cherished, historic school which thrives thanks to magnificent teachers and support staff. Our principal, Dr. Amy Steele, is extraordinarily connected to each and every student. Dr. Steele and assistant principal, Michael Baden, go far beyond knowing each child by name. They know children's parents as well. Also, any pertinent family histories that might affect a child's well-being. Should a need arise for any student, that need is met quickly with privacy and quiet dignity for the child and their family. Dr. Steele has cautioned us throughout this disastrous month to be careful of our children's sense of security with what they hear and what they fear. She reminds us to be aware that these are little people, to use her phrase, who must be protected at all costs. We can only hope you will hold our families and our students in equal regard. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Alphonse. Ms. Brenda Rakoff.
Good evening. I speak to you tonight in favor of option A. One of the biggest challenges facing our district right now is growth. We have overcrowding in our schools and constantly seem to be in pursuit of available land to meet new construction needs. Option A is the only option that addresses growth and has the potential to relieve future crowding in the Boger area of Kannapolis. Why would you not use this brand new school in Kannapolis with plenty of space to accommodate the expected growth? Also, in support of option A, I ask you to consider that the redistricting committee felt that balancing socioeconomic status among schools was very important. We ranked it as number 3 in importance. Only option A results in the most balanced socioeconomic status for all the schools involved. Finally, Beverly Hills is a STEM school. We now have over 400 STEM seats. On the very same night, you voted to make R. Brown McAllister a STEM school as well. We were told that these two sister schools would later combine in some fashion with Coltrane Webb downtown. 1 short year later, it is being proposed to close our school and send our children to a fine arts program in Kannapolis. This abrupt change in vision causes parents and potential parents to lose confidence in our school system and question the commitment that you all have to the programs you develop and implement. Take stock of what your community leaders, deep-rooted neighborhoods, parents, and other stakeholders are asking of you. Do not establish an attendance zone which places children from this downtown community into an elementary school in Kannapolis. It doesn't make sense. Allow Royal Oaks to address the needs of future growth in Kannapolis, and allow Beverly Hills to remain a STEM school in Concord with a shared future between Beverly Hills, Coltrane Webb, and R. Brown McAllister. Just as Royal Oaks deserved a new school in its community, the Beverly Hills community deserves the same opportunity. Until it is economically feasible to do so, keep these students at Beverly Hills. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rakoff. Mr. David Burpo
And Michael,
and
my
Michael.
son. He's
Sorry.
going to start.
All right.
My name is Michael Burpo, and I am a 4th grade student at Beverly Hills. Dear Board of Education, I have heard that you plan to send the students of BHE to Royal Oaks. Here are my reasons why you should not get rid of and why I love what I love about Beverly Hills. My first reason is that me and almost every student in the school would agree that the structure we call a school is not even a school. It is a sanctuary, a village, and a home all wrapped together to create the school. My second reason is that the STEM program has been extremely exciting these 1.5 years, especially the new STEM lab where we can imagine, plan, create, ask, and improve. Also, me and my friends have taken on some of the after-school STEM-based activities. I know some people say the structure is old and dirty, but almost everyone in the world has learned that you can't judge a book by its cover. So outside, it may look like old, but inside, it is a sanctuary full of dreams, wonders, and friendship for every student and teacher and human being in the structure. Well, I hope you all look at what we are saying and how it impacts our students, teachers, and overall our community.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay, so somewhere along the way over the past 2 years, mistakes were made. And I know not everybody's perfect, but someone made mistakes. And this is not a chess game. All right, these kids aren't your pawns to cover up your mistakes and simply remove 420 kids from a neighborhood school just to fill a school because you made a mistake and didn't calculate where you're going to build a school 3 times the size that it should be. All right, you also pushed a STEM program at the same time that this construction was going on for kids like my son, and they all love the STEM program. It's changed the way that they've had to learn. And they're just now getting it. And now you're going to flip their world upside down. And you're going to remove them from a STEM program that was heavily promoted throughout this county, throughout the country, actually. Is that my time? Oh. So I think that to remove them from a STEM program, and some of you up there are going to say, well, the kids still have a choice. They still have program choice. Well, not in the world that I live in, okay? There are single moms that are working 2 jobs. They can't get their kids to those programs. They're worried about putting food on the table and paying the power bill. So when you remove 420 STEM seats,
Your time is up now.
you remove 420 STEM seats, they do not have a choice.
Thank you.
And I hope you take that into consideration.
Ms. Tammy Redmond? Thank you.
Good evening, members of the Cabarrus Board of Education. I do apologize. We do have a lot on our minds. We have very sound reasons for not closing Beverly Hills or the proposal of it. I'm coming to you today as a licensed clinical social worker within the state of North Carolina. I have primarily worked with children who come from low economic families who have seen a great deal of instability, and a lot of times I've seen it drastically impact the kids. How does this affect the kids at Beverly Hills Elementary? Well, let me give you a heads up. Whenever I initially assess a child and their family, one of the questions I ask them is, where do you find your grounding? Where do you find your home? It's really rare that I get a response in my top 3 that doesn't include a school. Often the parents or the guardians or the child says, Miss such and such at the school, or the teacher says, you know, the folks at the school are doing us really well. So this is where I'm coming from. I think that the children at Beverly Hills Elementary are endangered by the potential closing of the school. Let's talk about who are our bulldogs at Beverly Hills Elementary. Across the board, Beverly Hills does represent all ethnicities within Cabarrus County. There's really no disparities or any type of gap. However, 64% of the kids at Beverly Hills Elementary participate in the National School Lunch Program. To be eligible for that, they have to meet a very, very low threshold for income. And I think that's very important because we're looking at a school that is providing a cornerstone, a grounding, a meal, support, a warm place for the child to actually engage and feel safe to engage. And in addition, 16% of the kids at Beverly Hills are considered to have limited English proficiency. This is actually a lot higher than a lot of the elementary schools across North Carolina, which sits at 6%. Beverly Hills sits at 16%. And across the state, Beverly Hills still, percentage-wise, is much higher than what the state average is, which is 8%. But let me tell you something great about our Bulldogs. We have 10% of our students at Beverly Hills that are participating in the Gifted and Talented program. This is significantly higher than the kids report across the state. North Carolina, on average, only has about 4%. Beverly Hills has 10%. And across the nation, Beverly Hills is still significantly higher. We report at 10%. The U.S. average is 5%. And for the past 5 years, Beverly Hills has scored exemplary levels of outcomes utilizing positive unified behavior support, which is showing these kids are responding well to the positive supports that they get from the school and from the environment. Whenever we talk about kids developing, I would really ask that you consider not closing Beverly Hills. It's important to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Redmond.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for letting me speak. And I would say that I apologize for my accent on my English, as I'm not native from here, but I'm going to try my best. I understand that by law, you have to provide a translator. because our Hispanic community doesn't know what's going on right now. If you would provide translations, with all our Hispanic community will know what's going on now. And now, I am in favor of scenario A, of 4 scenarios that were created by you guys on my behalf. I think, as a taxpayer, I should be asked before. But anyways, it's for the education of my kids. In the previous years, Royal Oaks academics rating has been low compared to Beverly Hills rating. My question is, in which way the improvement is going to be made in order to have higher ratings at Royal Oaks? Do you think that coming from a STEM school to an art and language school, the rating will be better? Now, I understand that Beverly Hills has been a STEM for only 2 years, but from what I understand, it has been in academics a good school. My son, he graduated from Beverly Hills and went straight to a STEM school without test admission. I think, and I am positive, that in a big school of 800 plus students, my daughter, which is currently at Beverly Hills, will just be only one more number. Because going from STEM to art and language school, I don't think that she's going to achieve academically. I believe that small schools such as Beverly Hills promotes quality education. Our teachers right now in Beverly Hills knows everyone. They know me, they know my daughter, they still remember my son, which graduated from them. Now, like Dr. Lauder said, wrap it up all the emotional part, which is impossible, because my daughter, she don't want to talk about that. My daughter, when I mentioned to this point, she don't want to talk. She's she been psychologically, emotionally affected because of this decision that you guys took on her behalf. At the end, I think my opinion is meaningless, but I just wanted to be heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mason. Ms. Joni Label.
Good evening. My name is Joni Liebel. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you all this evening. While I'm no longer a Beverly Hills parent, I came here tonight as a homeowner and a 30-year neighbor of Beverly Hills Elementary School, asking you to vote for Scenario A. As young parents, my husband and I were attracted to Beverly Hills neighborhood because of the community and the small neighborhood school where our children could walk to school and we could be involved in their education. I am excited now to see young families moving into the neighborhood for the same reasons. There's a strong sense of community that is developed in Beverly Hills neighborhood, the location of Beverly Hills Elementary School, which is the heart of the community. To choose not to invest in a historic neighborhood school is a decision to not invest in the heart of the community, and the young families who have chosen to move there and support the continued growth and economy of our city. Did you know that Carolinas Healthcare is the largest employer in Cabarrus County? With the hospital's proximity to Beverly Hills Elementary School, the Beverly Hills neighborhood is attractive to young professionals who want to live close to work and also be close to their children's school. We all know that proximity to schools has an impact on property values. If you're not aware of this, I'll be happy to provide the research that supports this. Lastly, I understand that if there is a decision not to invest in Beverly Hills Elementary School, there's discussion about recommending improvements to repurpose the building. If the building could be made suitable for these other purposes, why couldn't the students from Beverly Hills be temporarily moved to Royal Oaks while Beverly Hills is renovated or repaired and made suitable for Beverly Hills Elementary School to remain a neighborhood elementary school? I want to thank you as you continue to weigh your options and prepare your recommendations. However, I would ask that you remember your decision not only impacts the students and employees of Beverly Hills Elementary School, your recommendation impacts my neighbor and the family that has developed and grown strong around my neighbor. To paraphrase a board member, smaller schools have become like families, and to discuss dissolving or merging a neighborhood school is like thinking about dissolving a family. Please consider scenario A. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Liebel. Ms. Shannon Burpo.
Good evening. My name is Shannon Burpo. I am a Beverly Hills parent, and I'm speaking on behalf of our Save Our Schools group. I am asking you to choose scenario A. While researching the effects of school closures throughout the country, I found the common theme among them was under-enrollment in the school or underutilization due to under-enrollment. We in Concord proper do not share this theme. When current enrollment numbers are compared with the numbers being presented to you, the media, and the public, it is clear we are not underutilizing our schools. In contrast to the numbers on the maps, Beverly Hills is up 35 students to 422. Coltrane Webb is up 235 students to 470 as of September 25th of this year. In the last year alone, Boger has grown by 73 students. With continued urban sprawl, any current under-enrollment, especially in the western part of the county, will soon be remedied. At an October info session, Dr. Louder said, quote, Boger is set to explode. If we don't take steps now to anticipate and prepare for the projected growth, we will soon face overcrowding and the added expense of modular building placement, redistricting, or yet another new school build. President John F. Kennedy said, a child miseducated is a child lost. We are on a path of miseducating the children of Cabarrus County, due in large part to poor planning and the unwillingness to think innovatively about education. Innovative thinkers in matters of public education are realizing the importance of small community schools. In New York City, 44 low-performing high schools were closed and 200 small, themed high schools were opened as part of a sweeping set of secondary school reforms. Graduation rates rose dramatically, and college enrollment rates kept pace with the increasing number of high school graduates. To come a bit closer to home, Chantilly Montessori, a non-traditional public elementary school in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools, serves just 265 students and received a grade of A+ NG last year. There is a place in public education for small. There must be a place in our school leaders for innovative thinking, or we will simply be left behind, our children miseducated. In Detroit public schools, studies found that when schools were closed, they lost 30% of enrollment. This enrollment loss significantly reduced the cost of benefits to shuttering the schools. If we lose 30%, or 126 of our 422 students, given the per pupil funding of just under $9,000, that's approximately $1.13 million per year in lost revenue. Even if we only lose 15%, or 63 students, that's nearly $600,000. As you know, we have a vibrant school community from varying socioeconomic statuses, and most of the students lost to private schools will be from our top income households. Losing those kids will have a rippling effect on the countywide SES numbers. Losing any of our kids will have a rippling effect on the countywide SES numbers, Losing any of our kids from the public school system would be a detriment to all children of Cabarrus County schools. Many of our nearby private schools have had a dramatic increase in calls regarding tuition, enrollment dates, and availability of seats. I know of many families researching homeschooling. Other studies show this is not just talk. In California, for example, one district predicted savings of $700,000 through consolidation, but ended up losing $2.4 million in funding as hundreds of students pulled out of the public system. Additional studies found that the fallout from strained community relations, such as eroded confidence in decision-making or withdrawn support for municipal bond measures, can affect school boards for years. Historically, this seems to be the way that Cabarrus County Schools operates, moving students over and over throughout their tenure in the system. My own kindergartner could likely move next year and again before middle school. If you choose to close our school to fill Royal Oaks, Boger does in fact explode, and we must shuffle kids around again in 3 to 4 years. This is not stability. This is not conducive to learning. This shuffling is not what's best for all children of CCS. Renowned clinical psychologist and pioneer in child development, Jean Piaget, said, "The principal goal of education in the school should be creating men and women who are capable of doing new things, not simply repeating what other women generations have done." I'm asking you to do new things. I'm asking you to see the forest beyond the trees, or better yet, the children beyond the seats. I'm asking you to vote for scenario A. Save our school. Don't send us to Kannapolis, not because we have anything against our neighbors, but because we are Concord. We are Beverly Hills.
Thank you, Ms. Propo. Ms. Jamie Benyon.
Hi, my name is Jamie Benyon, and I am a mother of four, three who currently attend Beverly Hills. My husband and I moved here from Chicago about 5 years ago, and I'm asking you to please vote for scenario A, or at least consider the proposal by former board member Jeff Phillips from April 2015 of using Royal Oaks as a swing school for Beverly Hills students. Then Coltrane Webb, then R. Brown, while you complete long-deferred maintenance needs at those schools. I understand your desire for fiscal responsibility, but you forfeited the right to claim fiscal responsibility when you chose to build a school 3 times the size needed 2 blocks from a school district you can't even pull just students from in an area that you continue to state has no growth. And while making statements like, "I don't know where we're going to get the kids to fill it, but we're going to build it there." Studies show districts tend to oversell projected academic gains and overstate how much they'll save by shuttering schools. When Michelle Rhee, Chancellor of Public Schools, told Washington, D.C. school residents that she was closing 23 under-enrolled schools, she promised that a lot of money would be saved that could be plowed back into academic programs in remaining schools. That never happened. And audits years later found that the closings actually cost the city $40 million. Districts also tend to disregard community impact, just as planners labeled urban renewal neighborhoods as blighted. Education officials justify closing schools with labels like failing, decrepit, and underutilized based on statistics analyzed at a distance. The Chicago Board of Election voted to close 49 elementary schools in 2013, the largest mass school closing in American history. The board assured distressed community that not only would the district save hundreds of millions of dollars, but students would also receive an improved and more efficient public education. Yet people from my hometown are still reeling from the devastated closures, a policy decision that has not only failed to bring about notable academic gains, but it has also destabilized communities, crippled small businesses, and weakened local property values. A research group followed up a year later and found that receiving schools are still disproportionately under-resourced compared to other elementary schools. Schools were given iPads, yet have no technology teacher. Social workers are given the same number of hours per school with even more students to serve, and many receiving schools face teacher vacancies as teachers fled the district for more professional stability and support from administration. The Chicago Teachers Union said they've been closing schools for the past 12 years here, and it hasn't improved instruction. It hasn't solved the budget deficits, but it has weakened communities. And while it's true that teaching positions follow the kids, it's not certain that any of our Beverly Hills teachers will go to Royal Oaks or Weinkauf, and that's unsettling. Our teachers are educated, capable people with many opportunities. Treating them as if they aren't may be why retention in Cabarrus County is a problem, as mentioned by Ms. Carpenter in her bid for re-election in 2014. Due to the clear economic impact to our city, academic strain on our children, disregard of staff value, and financial repercussions on property owners, I am asking you to vote for scenario A. Thank you.
Mr. David DeCubelis.
Good evening, I'm David DeCubelis. My wife and I have 4 boys in the Cabarrus County school system. 2 in Concord Middle School, 2 in Beverly Hills Elementary School. And I am in favor of keeping Beverly Hills under option A. But you know, along the way tonight, I've seen a lot of familiar faces, and some that have moved from Beverly Hills into other schools, some who have taught our boys in preschool and are in favor of other options. And so I appreciate everybody's input, and I appreciate everyone serving here, because I understand it's very difficult. I will say I am concerned, though. And I'm concerned with what I perceive to be inconsistency. You know, in the time that our 4 boys have been in Beverly Hills Elementary School, they've seen 4 different principals. That concerns me because that tells me it's been on average about every 2 years there's a new principal. Now you can say, well, there's upward mobility, people are looking to further their career, I understand that. But I would like to ask, how do you establish vision in just 2 years? How is that approved? How do you establish a vision for a school and move in that, and then in the next 2 years you have to be removed? And then what happened for me was I saw the STEM proposition come up, and I began to wonder, you know, is this a scenario where is along the same lines as what I'm seeing with the principals? How long will this stay? And immediately after, what, 1.5 years now that we've been in the STEM program at Beverly Hills, we're seeing it possibly being taken away from that school because of relocation. And I understand there's alternatives, but it's not the same. Not all the children are going to have that opportunity. And so I look at what I perceive to be inconsistency, and I'm very concerned about that because my boys, they'll be fine. They'll do well. They'll thrive. But I would like to see some consistency in leadership. Royal Oaks was built on campus. That facility was built for Royal Oaks. That school was not built for Beverly Hills Elementary School. And I think we know that, and I think we have to come to terms with the reality that we need to fill seats, and we're looking to Beverly Hills to do that, and I ask that you not do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jacob Ellis. Ms. Lynn Takla?
Actually, there's been a change in the name. My name is Andrea Burleson. I am in affiliation with Beverly Hills Elementary School, and I am asking for you to vote scenario A. I know that there have been a lot of emotions, concerns, and opinions that have been expressed this evening. And not that those aren't important, because they are, and I have my own. But I understand that the request from you is how to come to a solution on solving a problem. But tonight, I am going to present you with some statistics, some surveys that were taken amongst the Beverly Hills community, the parents, the staff, and the members, some local business owners that surround the school. So I'm going to try and keep this strictly professional and unemotional, and non-opinionated as well. Of the families reporting, over 20% said that the closure of Beverly Hills Elementary School would lead them to private school, homeschooling, or to relocate out of Cabarrus County. 82% of the parents said moving their kids would negatively impact their ability to volunteer or attend school events, which that is super important as a parent to see your child grow. I said I was going to keep that out, so I will. 96% of the responding neighborhood members said that they benefit from having a school in the community. 71% of the responding homeowners in the neighborhood believed that the closure of Beverly Hills Elementary would negatively impact their financial well-being. Nearly 30% of our local small businesses believe closing Beverly Hills would negatively impact their business. I do understand, Ms. Carpenter, that it was quoted from you in 2015 that merging the schools would be, and I quote, like killing a family, end the quote. Because of the tight-knit communities that surround schools like Beverly Hills, you also stated that bigger is not always better, and smaller usually is. You were not mistaken. A study published in the Journal of Urban Economics showed that school redistricting, including school closures that led to busing some of the children, led to disrupting neighborhood schools, which reduced property values by 9.9%. As a study published in the Journal of Agricultural and Applied Economics found a correlation between property values and proximity to schools at all levels. A negative value is associated with longer than average distance to schools. A study published in the School Administrator reports that when a neighborhood school closes, property drops substantially as residents perceive disinvestment in their community. I'm asking you tonight to vote for scenario A, not based on my emotions and my opinions, although I have plenty, but based off of studies and statistics that have been proved. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Burleson. Ms. Carolyn Cagle.
Hello. I have 5 points to make, just 5. Okay, the first one was I watched a video, and Miss Carolyn Carpenter was on it. She was the star of the video, and she said something about keeping Royal Oaks together. So we ask sincerely that you keep Beverly Hills together. It's something that if you can do for Royal Oaks, maybe you can do for us. Number 2, the other 3 schools in the 4 scenarios, I know they're really concerned about having their schools divided, but think about us, like we're basically going to have our school obliterated. So like we're not even going to have a school. Number 3, somebody said this, and I'm just going to repeat it, is that we have a STEM program at Beverly Hills. STEM schools and STEM careers are high growth career paths. And if you take the 400 seats from us, then you're basically removing 400 seats or 400 students that could go towards that path. Number 4, I want to know why Beverly Hills cannot be renovated, because I still don't think we've seen a sort of like a feasibility study to tell us why it can't be. I know I spoke with you and I spoke with Tim Lauder, but you know, I just feel like we maybe should do a little bit more studying before we just decide that we can't rebuild Beverly Hills. And number 5, this is kind of ironic because we're supposed to have a program choice open house thing at our school in a few days. What are the teachers and the staff members going to tell the parents and the families that are coming? Like, hey, guess what? Come to our school, but next year we're not going to have a school. So that's all my 5 points. And I have 58 seconds left.
Thank you, Ms. Cagle. Mr. Svitkowski, and I think it's, is it both of you and your wife?
No, it's just me.
Okay. This is Mr. Jeff Svitkowski.
I am Jeff Switalski, board members, superintendent. Thank you for letting us do this. I have learned a lot tonight. I've actually been gone for 3 months and coming back, and I've been in contact with my wife, but I have learned a lot tonight about statistics and how much this community actually cares about Beverly Hills, as well as do I. I have 2 daughters in Beverly Hills, and I moved to Concord in 1999, and I'm a small business owner here in town, and I feel, well, I know that my girls have benefited greatly from being at Beverly Hills. We chose our specific house location, like many others here, based on proximity to Beverly Hills. We wanted that small environment that that school provides. Like I said, I have been gone for 3 months. I've been hiking the Appalachian Trail. And on the trail, we resupply every 3 to 5 days in towns. A lot of towns have Walmarts, and it's a great place to resupply because you have everything you need there. But I don't remember any of the Walmarts. I remember going into little general stores and getting coffee served to me by a fire, and people telling me about the things that are in town, getting a personal touch, which I think Beverly Hills does for my children and everybody's children here. So I'm not sure of which option that is, because like I said, I've been gone. My stance and my perspective comes from doing what I think is right for myself and my family first, which is also what most of these people here have been talking about as well. So I vote to keep Beverly Hills, Beverly Hills.
Thank you, Mr. Kwiatkowski. Ms. Natalie Atwell.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak. As parents and community members, when faced with change that affects our children, we are naturally emotionally charged. As we begin to talk with other people involved, the emotions may become intensified, and we often forget to take a deep breath and consider all aspects of the situation. I encourage you as board members to help us look for solutions instead of problems, because change is inevitable. When people look for solutions instead of problems, they aren't concerned with comfort and familiarity, but for what is best for all. I encourage the parents who are faced with losing opportunities such as STEM or walking to school to see solutions in finding other ways to involve their children in STEM, such as summer camps, or see having a longer commute as having more time to talk to their children and pray with them. While it may be tougher to swing by your child's school to stop in and volunteer, it is worth the challenge to find ways to continue to do so, even if it isn't convenient. My prayer is that when we are faced with tough decisions that may include our children having to move away from their friends or attending lower performing schools, that we encourage them to embrace the chance to make new friends and ask teachers and staff how we can help to support efforts to raise performance. We may not be able to fund something for an entire small school, but we can still help fund something at a bigger school, and every little bit helps. Regardless of the outcome of your decision, we must come together, use our creativity, change our schedules, and continue to raise the next generation well. Yes, the change may make it harder for some in this room, but I believe the people in this room have the ability and strength to look past the problem and seek solutions. As T.D. Jakes said, God did not give us furniture, He gave us trees. Children who are taught to be kind, loving, in a positive way can come from any home or any school, regardless of the size or demographics. Ultimately, we need to focus on creating a community where my children and all those represented in this room grow up in a place where love abounds and people work together, finding solutions while embracing change. Let's focus on our children being defined by the content of their character, not by the schools they attend, degrees they earn, or jobs they have. Let's encourage our children to change the world by loving others, helping the poor, serving the underserved, and by embracing diversity and facing adversity. Thank you for your time. I trust and pray that our board members will seek to make the best decision for the children in the entire Cabarrus County community, which I respectfully believe is not scenario A. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Atwell. Mr. Anthony Weiss.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me here tonight. And during listening to everyone here, I appreciate your time. I didn't really write anything down. I like to kind of speak from the heart a little bit more. And I've obviously had a little bit of time to listen to everyone here tonight. So really, like what I want to point out to everyone is there's two scenarios that I see and want to address. And that's the scenario A is the board made a mistake in their planning and now they have to react. Or scenario B, the decision was made a long time ago and wasn't made public. And so now we're trying to rip a Band-Aid in 6 months. Either way, I find a problem with those two scenarios. And I should also address the fact that I'm a little torn because I'm a big supporter of not closing Beverly Hills. And I'm also a supporter of Boger because I have a 5-year-old that goes there. And actually, just last week, I received a little bit of a frantic text from her mom, actually showing this paper here. This is all I brought tonight. This blue paper. This is what was sent home. And what this paper is it's a scare tactic, is what I label it as, because it's a bias. And I think we all have to be aware that we subject ourselves to our own biases. We have to protect our own, and obviously a school is going to protect their own, as Boger did. I think there's nothing wrong with what they did. Just obviously they scared a mother, and when it says that you're losing students and that now a daughter's going to have to be moved over to Wyankoff, that's of course scary. You don't want change. You're just getting a foundation under her, starting out at a new school. And so I find that a problem, and that a lot of what's been talked about tonight is bias. And why we're all here tonight is because we're being used as pawns. And I think the bias is already addressed in several meetings ago. What the superintendent has planned for the county, and I think it's disheartening when that decision has already been made, but yet we're going through this formality, and you're really just tearing apart the community when we have more to focus on here, when we should be uniting people instead of using our kids as the subjects to a rash decision or a rash reaction. And when you take 6 months to implement such a decision that should be a 5-year plan, everyone's here to make plans, and 6 months is not a reasonable plan, is how I see it. So I just want to address again scenario A and scenario B in my mind, and that the solution is not to take 6 months to talk about this. The community needs time, a lot more time, to resolve this issue and let everyone present their own views so that we can come together as a community for what is best for all the students. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss. Mr. Victor Gomez.
I've been here a long time.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. My name is Victor Gomez. I'm from Beverly Hills Neighborhood Association. I'm here on behalf of the citizens from our neighborhood, people like widows, older couples that don't have a voice on this platform. It concerns the neighbors that the talk of closing the elementary school will affect property values. Property values of people that have worked hard to build a life here. The uncertainty has people very concerned, and that's paramount. The location, if a city planner was looking for a location in this city, Beverly Hills would be a prime location. The location of people working at the hospital, dropping off their kids on the way to work. It's also a walkable school, perfect for Beverly Hills and other neighborhoods. I've lived in Beverly Hills for approximately 23 years. Our children are 26, 19. They've attended Beverly Hills Elementary School, Concord Middle, and graduated from Concord High School. My youngest daughter, a sophomore at Oklahoma Christian University. My wife has been a stay-at-home mom since my son's birth 26 years ago. We made the decision to be a single-income family to give our children a good quality of life. A mom who can stay at home, walk the kids to and from school, and work at the kitchen and homework at the kitchen table. If you look around, these parents want the same thing, a good quality of life for their children. Busing their kids across town is not the answer. Your data cannot measure the family quality time. You can't measure the time spent to mold these children and get them ready for the next level. I currently work in facilities, a large firm. I travel across the country, building offices out. I handle corporate relocations from San Francisco, Beverly Hills, California, Dallas, Texas, Miami, Florida, coast to coast. To hear the words that Beverly Hills is decrepit is not a true statement. In facilities, we use the word refresh. To refresh a space costs less than to build a new space, new facility. The cost of square foot, the cost of land, building, etc. To spend $10 million on an elementary school to refresh, it would be a drop in the bucket when you're spending $77 million on a high school, for example. I get it. You built that school across town, now you have to fill it. You will face many challenges, choices. Some of the choices will require real resolve to make the right one. All of you are built with an early warning system that immediately alerts you when things are about to go wrong. If you heed these warnings and take corrective actions, things will go smoothly. If you ignore the warnings, irreparable damage can be done. The early warning system is called your conscience. Please vote your conscience to refresh Beverly Hills and not close, to ensure a good quality of life for these children, parents, and the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. We're now going to take a 5-minute break, and we'll reconvene at 7:35.